Alrighty, welcome back to the stream. That's not a very interesting screen. Well, this one's not very interesting either. Maybe this one? Okay, there we go. Okay. Good morning. Welcome back to the stream. So yeah, today we're going to be doing some more work on the multiplayer combat, and worked through some issues that I had with NetFox, and thanks to the help of Dusty here, got through some NetFox Sharp issues in particular. Also, Dusty was kind enough to help me just think through and understand a little bit of how NetFox works in terms of the internals. So that was very helpful. So yeah, today we're just going to be basically continuing on with building out some of the multiplayer functionality. The goal is to get some basic like combat functionality in place, get it feeling good, especially with respect to the players and sort of like the rollback functionality, the client-side prediction. Because once that's in place and feeling good and in a good spot where I can extend it, then I can do the rest of the multiplayer stuff that I already know how to do. So yeah, that's basically the goal for this prototype, and you know, we'll see what happens. But before I get started, I did release Gunforge a week ago from today. So it's now available for purchase. So if you would like to support my work, please consider purchasing that. I also have Udemy courses available for sale. Those are a great way to support me as well. So check out the links in the description below, and let's get right into it. So, hello, AnyKey. First rule of multiplayer, always trust the client. Yep. That's a rule for sure. Hello, Ace Link. Camping out here, excited to watch this later. Yeah, awesome. Great to have you here. Hello, InstaKill N. You're happy that I'm continuing with the live streams? Yeah, I like doing the live streams. They're fun. It's fun interacting with everyone. Let's see. Just started to live stream as well. 8 peeps subscribed. Very nice. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Luca. How do you test multiplayer feature on development? You'll see, Nanda, but the basically you just run 2 clients, two versions, or yeah, you run the game at the same time in 2 windows, and then you can have one be the server and one be the connected client. Thank you, Zibu. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Hello, Splat. Welcome back. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got here. I was messing around with some rollback stuff here. Let's see. So I got host, join, finally got the synchronization working, so the enemy here is moving the same on both the client and the server. So that's great. And yeah, so now the thing that we got to do is get this enemy to have some health and some knockback and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, I got the animations working and everything. So yeah, what was I doing here? I was doing some weird stuff. So, by the way, I finished my first game on itch, but I still have a stuttering issue though. Oh, from, yeah, shader compilation and all that stuff. That does happen. So, Dusty, if you're here, I have a question for you. So am I correct to say that the rollback synchronizer here, that these states, let's see. So these states properties here, these are stored per tick, right? So when, let's say, a certain tick is processed in a rollback method, the state property associated with that tick is going to be up to date, right? Okay, so that means that I can do like lerping and whatnot on the velocity, and that will be fine, right? I don't need to do any of the sort of timing stuff that I was doing before. That's kind of what I was playing with, and I was like, wait, I don't think I need to do this. So for instance, in my state attack, I have a velocity here that sends the player sort of into, you know, in the direction of the attack as a little bit of movement forward. And I was doing a lerp previously, and I was thinking, wait, that might not work, but it should work, right? Because if the velocity is matched up to the tick, then the result of the lerp is going to be the same every time this is run. So I think I had something like, I guess I deleted it. Let's see. This velocity here. I guess the question is, I don't know what I would use for the delta time. So the way I typically handle like decelerations is this way. Velocity equals velocity.lerp, lerp it to vector 2.0. I'm doing a frame rate independent lerp here. That's what this fancy equation is, 1f minus math exp. There are various places on the internet that will explain why this is why this works for anyone that's curious, but the delta in here is what I don't know what to do. So there's a delta that comes in here, but this is also modifying a velocity property, which is used for the move and slide of the character body. So I have this function get network delta time, and I basically take the process delta time and multiply it by that physics factor. But I'm not sure if that's safe to do in the rollback. I need like, I don't know if I should be using this delta value. I think that's what I was getting confused by. So lerping isn't something I've touched on rollback synchronizer before. Yeah, I mean, theoretically it should. I imagine if I just pass delta in here, we still need that physics factor. Well, that physics factor is being done here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure this out. I remember now why I was playing around with this lerp. Maybe we're not gonna get into combat today. I just don't know. Yeah, I gotta figure out which delta value I need to use for that lerp. I don't think it's the delta coming. I mean, I probably should be using the delta that's coming in to that function. But as you can see, it doesn't work. Let's see. I'm wondering what this value even is. I think this is the delta between the ticks, right? Between the previous and the current tick. So let's see. 0.033, yeah, so that's 1/30th of a second. So that's the network tick. But the problem here is that I have this network move function that is basically taken straight from the docs where it multiplies by this physics factor. How is the physics factor calculated? Network time GD. Let's go look at that. Let's go look at that. Network time GD physics factor. Tick time divided by process delta. So I'm guessing tick time is going to be 0.033 as well. So the delta here is equal to tick time divided by process delta. So that's the physics factor. Uh-huh. I see. So what did I have in here before? This dot get network delta time. So I created this extension method. This takes the process delta time and multiplies it by physics factor. But this is probably going to be the same, or no? Let's see what that does. I just got to figure out, like, it's a little bit confusing with the physics system and whatnot. I believe it's based on time stretch, which is a way to keep clients in sync. Oh, I see. Okay. So that delta there is not 1/30th of a second. Interesting. Wait, why isn't this working? Isn't this what I literally just had? Yeah, this line hasn't changed. Why is it not working all of a sudden? This is going to be quite the thing to figure out. Yeah, now it's not even now it's not even moving the character at all. Wait a second. Wait a second. Let's see. This is part of the learning experience. Oh, right. I need to do velocity. I messed this all up because I was doing a tick-based lerp. I was experimenting with that. I think the tick-based lerp works. It's a little bit, probably a little bit more reliable, but... Or not reliable. It makes more sense than trying to figure out what the delta I should be using is. But that looks fine. But if I use... If I pass this delta in here, will I get the same result? No, because that's a different delta value. Oh, goodness. I don't even know if this is going to be... Can I just use get process delta time? I wonder if I even need to use that physics factor in there, because the physics factor is for offsetting the move and slide in the physics system of Godot. But if I need to do any other time-based lerps, I think it will be safe to do just a delta there. Maybe. So, that's very curious. It's very curious indeed. Oh, but the problem, oh, I see. The problem here is that this process, this is not running every process frame. It's running every rollback tick. So that's probably why I need the physics factor in there. Okay, so I think the physics factor... Does that make sense? Maybe I should just use the delta that's coming in. Maybe I'm overthinking this. The delta that's coming in is probably the delta that I want to use for any time-based things. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, that should be fine. Let's see. This, I'll put the same thing in here, delta. Yeah, I should probably just use the delta that's coming in here. I guess my concern there is that I'm not going to be updating the velocity as often as I could be on the client side. So I may not get like a super... I don't know. Yeah, I guess... What am I trying to say? If I have this velocity here, so if I just print this delta... Oh, that's going to flood. That's going to flood the logs. Let's see. So that's just 1/30th of a second every time. So I guess my problem is that... My problem with this is that I can only, like, reduce the velocity every 1/30th of a second, even on the client, right? In the GitHub docs pages, rollback caveats and some information on physics factor. Yeah, I know that the physics factor is necessary because of the move and slide here, because this multiplies internally. That multiplies by either physics process time or process time. And so the physics factor is designed to offset that. So you have to multiply your character body 2D by the physics factor, so that when it gets multiplied under the hood by move and slide, it's the correct value. But then if you want to get your velocity back to what it's supposed to be, you have to divide by that physics factor again. So I've got that much, but in the situation where we're dealing with a lerp that has to happen over a period of time, I don't think physics factor is appropriate to use in that situation. It seems like delta is what I should be using here. But yeah, then the problem becomes like, I'm only getting this update every 1/30th of a second, even on the client, it looks like. Which is probably fine. I mean, it's probably a high enough update rate to not be noticeable, but I'm thinking for like very, very quick lerps. Like, so I have a lot of, in my games, I have a lot of lerping that happens over like 2 frames. It's like very, very, almost imperceptible, but it definitely has a difference in the feel, I think. I don't know if that's... I mean, I guess as long as it feels fine. As long as it feels fine, it should be alright. As long as these are synchronized. Thank you, Snupbill, for the IDR 10,000. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With the message yummers, as per usual. All right, I've got the reason I found out that my lerping was a problem is because when I got this clumsy tool here that people recommended to simulate the network delay, I was getting a lot of hitching and like rubber banding, which indicated to me that the client-side prediction was not working correctly. So let's see if using that delta time makes it work. Okay. No, still a lot of hitching. 200 milliseconds maybe is too long. So the movement works. Well, kind of. But the attack just becomes super jittery. Even on the client side, so I don't know what's going on there. So that's even with the 100 millisecond delay. If I do 50, maybe I'll, let's restart this. We'll keep clumsy up. So we got a 50 millisecond delay. Yeah, it's super jittery. So like, I'm glad I tested this because even on a relatively minor latency of 50 milliseconds, the attack animation becomes super jittery. So that's what makes me think that maybe I can't do the lerp in the way that I want to do it. So This is why I was doing a tick-based lerp. That's a little bit... I mean, it should be deterministic with a tick-based lerp. But let's see. I didn't actually test this properly. Hey, Christopher, thank you so much for the $20. That's very, very generous. Thank you, thank you. Congrats on a launch 1 week anniversary. I appreciate that, thank you. That's very, very generous. Yeah, Gunforged is doing pretty all right. I've got 39 reviews, 94% positive. It'll be a good paycheck for me for my budget, so that's good. And yeah, thank you everyone for your support, and thank you again, Christopher, for your donation. It's very, very, very generous. Hello, Vrabo. Checked out your game. I'm surprised how in depth it is. Really fun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see. Yeah, still jittering here. So yeah, I guess this is another thing that I need to figure out. Even with a very minor delay here. So I guess that would be 100 milliseconds round trip. The attack animation is not smooth at all. It's fine on the server, obviously. It's not that, I guess not the attack animation, but the attack motion, like the character's motion through the attack. So this is the host here. And then this is the client. But as soon as I turn off this lag, it becomes silky smooth. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Even with the tick-based lerping here, it doesn't seem to be working. So the tick-based lerping, I basically just get a reference to when the tick that the attack started. Then I'm seeing, okay, how many ticks have happened since that attack. I remap that to a percent value. So I basically say, here's how long the attack lasts in terms of ticks. And then that is used to calculate a percentage from 0 to 1. And then I do a lerp based on that percent. And I'm storing the attack velocity as like a constant, not a constant, but like this is a value that doesn't change for the duration of attack. So the velocity can constantly be lerped from the initial attack velocity to 0, given this percent, which is again based on the tick timing. But that doesn't appear to work either. So what should I do about this? Do I need to, let's see. Did I forget something in my rollback synchronizer? I got attack velocity. Is there anything else that I need? Do I need to... I don't think I need to synchronize the attack direction because that's based on the synchronized player input mouse position. Hello, Lamasco. Welcome. Great to see you. Let's get rid of that print. Interesting. Oops. What did I just do? Let's remove the lerp. Let's just set this to the attack velocity here. What's weird is that I have a lerp going on up here in the movement. And that seems to work just fine. So I don't know why it's not working. Maybe the lerp is too aggressive in the attack state. Hello, Paul G. Thank you for the goat emoji. I installed Godot yesterday and I use it with C# too. Awesome. That's great. Do I still have clumsy up? Yeah. No, it's still laggy. Wait a minute. So why is the movement fine, but the attack is not? Okay, so maybe it's not related to the lerp at all then. Maybe that's not related to the lerp at all then. What happens I got some magic numbers in here, but I'll fix that later. What happens if I set this to the same value as the movement speed instead of faster? Oh, I might get your course. I just read you deal with multiple stacked layers and time map layers. Do you handle navigation region 2D going over multiple tile map layers per chance? No, not in that course. There's no navigation. So yeah, unfortunately, that's not there, but... Oh, you know what? I think I know what to do. Yeah, that's not there in the course. But I think the course shows you enough about tile map layers and how to set them up that extending that learning into adding a navigation region or a navigation shape to each tile should be relatively straightforward. Now, dealing with navigation between multiple layers, like, isolating navigation layers on each layer, that's going to be a little bit more complicated, but still should be possible because we do have a concept of a separation of layers in the course. So for instance, if you're gonna, the course, for anyone that's unaware, is a grid-based puzzle game with a tile map, but there's multiple layers of elevation. And so the idea is that when you go to place a building on the grid, the building should not be able to be straddling two different layers of elevation, right? So if you've got a cliff and the ground below the cliff, like that, you shouldn't be able to put a building like here, such that it's overhanging, right? So we do work in that course to prevent buildings from being placed in that situation. I think you could probably extend that to isolate navigation regions, because you have navigation layers and masks and stuff. So you could just assign, like, this elevation layer has this navigation mask, this elevation layer has this navigation mask, and then it should just be as simple as assigning the navigation shapes to the tile map data with, like, the painting on the tile maps, and I think it would work. But to answer your question directly, no, that we don't go over tile map or navigation specifically with tile map layers, but there may be enough information in the course there for you to comfortably do that yourself. The course documentation make it possible to understand it. Yeah. Hello, Neozoid. I'm basically thinking of an NPC seeking the player from layer 0 and player walks up elevation that the NPC still properly seeks and so on. Okay, so in that case, you probably wouldn't want to separate the navigation layers. What you might want to do, you could probably just put everything on the same navigation layer then, and just detect the elevation change in a different way. Of course, for pathfinding reasons, you can assign different weights. So there's a lot of complexity with navigation, but my understanding is that you can have separate navigation regions, and then what you can do is you can define a weight, the cost of an agent moving from one region to another. And that cost is a way of just, like, dissuading the NPC from taking a certain route. So for instance, if it's like, climbing up a ladder or something, you could say, well, that has a higher weight than just walking. So if you can get to the destination by just walking, then they'll prefer that. But if the ladder is the only way, then it will use the ladder. Anyway, I don't know much about that, but something like that should be possible. You're welcome. Multiplayer C# course soon. As soon as I get my handle around this. I mean, I think I have a handle on the naive way of doing it, but I think if I wanted to do a multiplayer course, ideally I'd have at least a section on, like, using NetFox or something similar. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's on my list of things to do or explore. Curious case events, all one region when seeking over a bridge. Yeah. Okay. So I think I know what I need to do here. There's something about mutating the state in the NetFox docs. I think that's probably what I need to do. But let me see if I can find it. I think what's happening is that the velocity is changing so rapidly, like on a dime with the attack, that I need to actually mutate the state. That might be what I need to do. Rollback caveats. Is mutate in here? Modifying objects during rollback. Here we go. Mutations enable modifying objects during rollback in a way that is taken into account by NetFox. When an object is modified during rollback, call network rollback.mutate, passing said object as an argument. Make sure mutate is only called on objects that need it, otherwise ticks will be resimulated for objects that don't need it. Okay. So in this example, for anything that's a shove, it's using mutate. So, since my attack is basically like a forward shove, it's like the same concept. So I think I probably need to do network rollback.mutate. Let's see. Update the affected object without using mutations. So when one player shoves another, the shove direction can simply be added to the target's player position. Doing this will not work. Let's say that player A is shoving player B, with player A being the local player. We have input for its actions. With player B being a remote player, it won't be simulated. So even though its position was modified, this change will not be recorded. It will be overridden by its last known position. So I think that's exactly what's happening here. So let me try that. So when they enter the state attack, network or netfox sharp.network rollback.mutate. Am I referencing the right one? Network rollback. I don't think is there a mutate in here? Doubt lerping is what you want since the code can get run multiple times. Tick interpolator may help, but I'm not sure about using it. Mutations aren't relevant here. That's for when two different nodes interact. Oh, I see. Is there even a mutate in here? In this network rollback? Let's see. Network rollback. Oh, it's not in this one either. Post 1.14. I was researching online multiplayer, and a thing that is depending on the style of play, it can be complicated. Yeah. There has to be the issue of cheaters. There's the option of using server-based or client-based. There's P2P approach, lots of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. It's complicated. It's, people say game dev is hard. Multiplayer game dev is even harder. At least for me. I don't know. Maybe there are some super geniuses out there that don't have an issue with it, but... Well, so if lerping is not going to work, I mean, the reason why I was asking if... the reason I was asking is if the velocity that comes into this rollback is the velocity that's associated with this tick. Is that because now the lerp should be deterministic? I'm doing it in a frame rate independent way, which means that if this delta changes, it doesn't matter. It's going to be, it's going to end up at the same position, I think. But the lerp should still be deterministic. That's the thing. It's like, as long as the velocity is associated with the tick that's being processed here, then it should produce the same result. And it works here because I'm lerping in my normal state. I'm lerping to the desired speed from 0, potentially. Or lerping to 0 from the current speed. And that appears to work just fine. For the movement state, it's when I enter into a velocity that's faster that I get this like hitching, which is why I suspected I might need to mutate. But so the movement is fine. I guess the movement is hitching a little bit too. Okay, let's see what happens if I just set velocity to the desired speed. Thing is, I don't know if I can't use lerp, then I don't know what I'm gonna do, because friction is like an exponential thing, right? It's not a constant deceleration. It's you decelerate faster the slower you go, and that's a better simulation of movement No, there's still a little bit of hitching on that side too. Is it potentially related to this tick interpolator? Let's go back. Direction to... I'm just going to remove... Or can I can disable that. Cool. Let's remove the tick interpolator and see what happens. Oh, wait. I want to do this. Okay. Still doing lots of learning here. Still doing lots of learning. Are you using some plugin to commit from VS Code? No, it's just a built-in Git integration, I think. That code might get run multiple times for the same tick is the issue with that. Oh, I see. Well, could I just use the is fresh or no? Game dev is hard, no doubt. The reason I mentioned this is that that even creating a course can be a bit difficult because someone might come expecting to solve their specific problem in the course, solves another type. If it teaches the basics, then I'm satisfied. Yeah. Yep. I think that's the best, that's the best you can do. Nope, so it's not the tick interpolator. Look at that. Look at that hitching. Okay. So, let's see. Let's do what is fresh work. Get rid of that delta print. If is fresh is supposed to fix the code being run multiple times part, yeah. Yeah, so if I do the lerp just on the first process of that tick, that will prevent it from being run multiple times. Nope, that's still really... The thing I don't understand is that only happens when I have a delay. If I get rid of the lag, it's perfectly fine. So I guess I'm missing why even a small amount of lag is breaking the rollback stuff. Let's just try a constant, maybe we'll try a constant one. Shoot. I still need to handle, like, I guess, yeah, if it can be run for multiple ticks, or it can be run multiple times on the same tick. So the velocity is not coming in. Yeah, I guess how are you, what is the way that you're supposed to handle accelerations and decelerations then? I don't see a section in that for the docs. Like it's very like rigid, right? The docs say, what does it say? Yeah, the example given is just like, here's your speed, but like that's not how, like player character controllers are almost always involved some, even a tiny bit of acceleration or deceleration, and especially if I'm going to be adding like knockback effects and stuff like that on the players. It can't just be like 100% speed and then stop abruptly, right? So this is definitely something that I need to figure out. It works with zero lag, but when I introduce even a 50 millisecond, I guess it would be a 100 millisecond round trip, it just doesn't work. So let's just try a constant deceleration then, using this is fresh. Velocity. That's why lerp is so nice though, because now I have to, if I do a constant deceleration, I have to determine which direction to slow the velocity in. Whereas lerp handles that for me, right? Although that's what the, Jitter looks like the client and server both trying to set the player position. I see. So that implies then that there's a desync between the player and the server. Like the client is calculating a different value than the server. Maybe that's related to the lerp then. Yeah. Let's think. Let's have a think, as our friends across the pond would say. Let's have a think. I mean, I think I already tried this, but I'm gonna do it again. Velocity is equal to whatever, attack direction times 350. Or just set it to constant value. Pretty sure I already tested this, but let's just see if there's any jitteriness here. No lerping whatsoever. So that's jittery 2. The movement is smooth. The attack. So something's not right here. But if I set this to 150, which is the movement speed. If I set it to 150, it's... Oh no, it still jitters. The interesting thing though is that if I'm already moving when I do that, it doesn't jitter nearly as bad. It's only when I'm stationary and then I attack, boom, jitter. That's why I think, I mean, I guess I'm wrong, but that's why I thought maybe I needed the mutate, like, because there's an instantaneous speed change happening here, which is similar to what the docs are doing with the shove on the brawlers. But I understand that that's only for players that are affecting other players, not necessarily just a straight client-server relationship. So that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know where this issue is coming from then. So really all this is doing now is this is just setting the velocity to the attack direction times some number. And if I start at 0 speed, it jitters real bad. What's your rollback sync inputs look like again? Let's see. This rollback synchronizer here, input properties, I'm synchronizing the movement vector, the mouse position, and is attack pressed. Could it be that? I mean... So, and it is attack pressed. Let me go to my player input. So in here, on before tick loop, that's my gather inputs. So yeah, it's just getting the movement vector based on the current input, getting the mouse position, which I'm probably not going to keep, but that's just for testing. Is attack pressed is equal to is attack pressed sticky, and that's just for client purposes here. So do I need to... I'm setting is attack pressed here in the process. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Because basically I need a way of detecting if the action is just press the attack action, and then on the next time the gather input happens, it needs to set that value. Okay, no, that didn't, that's still jittering, okay. The other thing that I don't understand about this is that, well, maybe I shouldn't go into that right now. Yeah, What to do? I don't think that's what I need. Modifying objects. No. Interpolation caveats. Whoops. Game may render frames at a higher variable frame rate. Interpolate only visuals. Okay. Interpolate only visuals. A node state may consist of multiple properties, some of which affect its appearance, position, rotation, scale. Some are only relevant to the simulation, e.g. most objects look the same regardless of their velocity. It's enough to interpolate only the properties that affect the game's visuals. I think that's fine. I think interpolating the global transform is fine. And I already tried disabling this, so I don't think the interpolator is the problem anyway. Well, let's try again. Okay. So the the tick interpolator is not the problem. Yeah. I do not know how to proceed. What is this diff-ack interval? How many ticks to wait between acknowledging the diff states? Setting this to lower non-zero values may result in more bandwidth savings. Could be outweighed with the increased number of ACK messages. What happens? I'm just curious. I mean, that should be plenty, but let's double it. So is attack press is telling it to resim, so that's what mutate would have done for you. Debug messages for when the client player enters function both on client and server might help shed light. Is attack press is telling it to resim. Oh, are you saying it's going to resimulate on the client? So, okay, so changing that, so wait. So changing any input property causes an immediate resimulation on the client. Is that right? debug messages for changing inputs causes the server to resim. I guess it's complicated by the fact that I'm using the rewindable state machine. Because when the attack pressed is happening, it transitions into the state attack through the rewindable state machine. Enter state attack is where the velocity is set. Possibly a weird interaction with the state machine. The client doesn't need to resim itself. So what I don't understand is that, is it just automatically a 1/30th of a second input delay on the client? Because if I'm in the normal state and I want to change the attack state when attack is pressed, I mean, wouldn't the... Yeah, is that just a guaranteed 1/30th of a second input delay? I mean, I guess I could test it. I could do turn down the network tick rate quite low to like 10 and see if that causes a noticeable attack delay on the client. That's a little janky, but seems to be immediate. So I don't understand. I guess I don't understand where that immediacy is coming from. Let's see. I'm actually going to do even more. 1 as the tick rate. Oh no, there's definitely a delay. Yeah, so there's definitely a delay. So that's kind of a bummer too. There's just going to be a built-in 1/30th of a second input delay. Unless I'm doing the simulation or the client input wrong. Yeah, I don't really know how to proceed from this. I mean, there's a couple of problems that I'm running into here. So the lerp is one, the input delay is another one. The jankiness of the the attack state. I want to use NetFox, but let's see. Anything you can do with Godot should be possible in NetFox. We basically just replace physics process with rollback tick. Yeah, maybe it's just how the rewindable state machine is working then. Because that input delay shouldn't be there on the client, right? I mean, I could test it. Let me do this. Network ticks are akin to physics ticks. Right, so, yeah. I mean, I don't use physics process for any of my input either. I use process always, so I can get those input states literally as quickly as possible. But, I mean, I'm sure it's the same difference, right? So, yeah. I wonder if let me try this. Let's do this. Oops. Public void. I forgot what properties. Oh, I think it's the same here, right? Double delta long tick bool is fresh. Let's just try this. Copy and paste that. If player input component state machine. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're just going to take take this, put it in there. There's a lot of useless code here. So I'm just going to put all this in the rollback tick. I'm not going to use the rewindable state machine. Let's get rid of this. And then comment out create state machine so we're not trying to create those nodes. Okay. All right. So let's try this. Let's see what happens. Post. Oops. Huh? Wait, what? Process authority. Wonder if that was just a... Let's try it again. If it crashes again, I'll figure it out. Okay, it crashed again. Oh, I think my rollback synchronizer... Yeah, it's synchronizing the state here. Okay, we'll get rid of that. That should fix that. Let's see what happens. Post. Okay. Did I do something wrong? Oh. Comment that out. Goodness gracious. We're experimenting. We're learning. Okay, my movement code doesn't work anymore. Let me make sure I've got that method signature right. I have a feeling that I don't. Delta tick is fresh. No, it should be fine. Did I spell it right? Rollback tick. Yep. Rollback synchronizer, process settings. Global transform. Let's turn off the tick interpolator. Just turn off some stuff. Post. Why can't I move anymore? I'm assuming this rollback tick is not functioning. Oh, it is functioning. Okay, something else is going on then. Let's print the movement vector. What is going on? Print player input component dot movement vector. Let's see if this is even being updated. Okay, the movement vector is fine. What is going on? Desired speed. Oh, this is even normalized. I'm a noob. Well, I'll just normalize that. I guess it doesn't matter. I'll do it later. Direction times 150. Yeah, it's got to be... Okay, so we'll get rid of the lerp here. Velocity is equal to desired speed. See if this works. What is going on? Why is my movement not working now? Oh, oops. Network move. That would be why. Never told the thing to move. Okay, now I need to grab this. This is such a mess, but I just want to test it. Just prevent the velocity from being overridden while an attack is happening. All this is just to see if I'm going to get that same jitter when I'm not using the state machine. That's basically what I'm doing here. Nope, the jitter is still there. So I completely excised the state machine, put everything in a rollback tick, and that jitter is still happening. So that's good to know. Yeah, there's something just weird going on here, I think, because I'm going from a 0 velocity to a 350 magnitude velocity when I attack, and I think there's something about NetFox that doesn't like that. Watching you struggle is weirdly compelling. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. I mean, I'm having fun in the sense of I'm learning, I'm experimenting. But yeah, this jitteriness, I don't know why that's happening. Take interpolator on. We'll make it smoother. Yeah, look at that. Smooth on the server, which is to be expected, but on the client, it's just like, yeah, it doesn't like it. It doesn't like it at all. But that's only the case if I disable this lag. Check it out. Boom. Smooth. I wonder if it's just any lag? If I put a 1 millisecond delay in here. Yeah, jitters. That seems like that's so low that that shouldn't have any impact at all. Maybe is Clumsy just breaking it? I don't know how to simulate. I don't know how to tell if it's just Clumsy or if it's just any lag whatsoever is making it break. That doesn't seem right to me. The round trip is 10 milliseconds. That's less than a network. That's less than... You could fit multiple 10 millisecond delays in a single network frame. Yeah, I mean, I guess that it's a client-server mismatch, but I guess my question is, if the delay, like even with a 5 millisecond delay, so 10 millisecond round trip, that still fits snugly within a single network frame, right? So like, where is the opportunity for deviation? Unless maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Because a 10-second round trip would be, 100. You could fit 100 network frames in, but we're running at 30. So let me try this. Turn it down to 3. Yeah, still a lag. So it doesn't seem like enough latency to cause a deviation in the values. But maybe I'm wrong. Indeed. The other thing that I was tempted to do, like I want to use NetFox Fox because of the ability to do server authoritative. But when I was investigating what I wanted to build, like how I wanted to build this, I thought about doing like a hybrid, like server authority peer-to-peer, where I give the peer control over their movement and like attacks, but I guess that wouldn't work either. It would be more like purely peer-to-peer. I don't really want to do that though, because there's various issues with that. And I also don't know if I'd get good lag compensation either. This is hard. Stuff is hard. Okay, well, I'm going to take a quick break real quick. I need to get a refill on my drink, but in the meantime, if you want to support my work, you can check out the links in the description below. Yeah, when I get back from the break, I will, maybe I'll just try working on the enemy a little bit and see, but we'll see if we can get some multiplayer or some enemy stuff going, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break. I'll be right back, and we'll continue on when I get back. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. Hello, Cass is Bass. Would you say multiplayer is harder? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it requires a different way of thinking about making games because you have lag concerns, but then you have authority concerns, and like you're kind of dealing with a weird situation where whatever a connected client is seeing, at least in a server authoritative architecture, is like basically just fake. It's like a bunch of puppets being orchestrated and simulated, and nothing's really happening on the client in terms of like game state and whatnot. And so trying to wrap your mind around those concepts is relatively difficult, and it gets even more difficult when you're trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is leveraging client-side prediction to increase client responsiveness. And yeah, that's just how it goes, you know. Depends on the implementation. Yeah, if you were doing a turn-based game, you could just do a straight, like, you know, you don't have to worry about latency at all. So I saw your message on Discord, Dusty. I'll respond to that after the stream, but that gives me an idea, actually. Well, kind of an idea. I'm wondering, is it safe to double up this tick rate here? Increase the tick rate to 60. I'm sure that uses a lot more bandwidth, but I'm curious. Oh, there's still some jitter there. I put in a 5-second delay. Yeah, there's still some jitter. Okay, so I'm gonna just work with the 0 network lag for now. But let's so I verified that the rewindable state machine is not the problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and just undo all this stuff that I just did. I don't need the tick rate to be that high anymore. Let me think. Yeah, I think what I can do is just discard these things. Let me do this. Reset that. Discard those files. Oh, I gotta put this back in a proper state. I'm gonna put that back. Get rid of this stuff. Get rid of that. To do. I think I probably still want that is fresh in there. Get out of here. Okay. I don't need this attack start tick anymore. Okay. Display. The enemy, the fortunate thing is the enemy should be a lot simpler because I don't need to use the netfox rollback stuff for the enemy. So I should, yeah, it should be much simpler. Okay, in anywho, I should probably make sure this works before I commit. Did you ever check out netfox? Sorry, just got here. Yep, I'm using that right now. I'm using that right now, Gush. Welcome back to the stream, by the way. Followed some Nakama videos and I was like, yeah, I need to wait. Learning multiplayer, yeah, it's difficult. Yes, I am. The downside is extra bandwidth. Okay, so as long as it's back to normal with the network state, and actually it seems to be jittering a little bit here too, but we're not gonna worry about this anymore for now. I'm gonna go into the enemy now and try to get some enemy movement working. Okay, so let's what am I doing? I don't remember. Oh, just commit this. Various player changes. Cool. Okay, into the enemy we go. There's a couple things that need to happen here. So I'm going to set up my Let's create a new scene here. New scene. Area 2D. Hurtbox component. Okay, collision, get rid of the layer. Mask we're gonna set to enemy by default. Okay. I still don't know a good way of organizing these bit masks. Unfortunately, there's not a very easy way of changing them later. Like once you've got all your bit masks configured and you figure out, oh, I actually need like an enemy secondary, you may have like the first 10 masks already filled in so they don't get grouped together. It'd be nice if you could just like, almost like if this was reversed. So instead of assigning a name to a layer, you could assign a layer to a name. So you could say, oh, well, my enemy layer is on bit 8 right now, but I'm going to change that to be bit, you know, whatever, 11. That would be a really nice feature. Because as it stands right now, if you want to reconfigure your layers and masks, like you have to open up every single scene and reconfigure them. Anyway, I don't think there are any Godot maintainers in the chat right now, but that would be a very, very nice thing to do. Okay, so anyway, enough wish casting. I'm gonna put it on layer 9. I'm just gonna use this group for like enemies. I guess that's the way you can break it up, is like these are chunked. So you could kind of use this one for enemies and use this one. Anyway, I don't usually end up using more than like 10 layers anyway. Or 10 bits. Okay, so this needs to change. We're going to bring that collision shape out. We're going to bring that hurtbox component in. And then this hurtbox component, collision mask, yep. And I've got the hitbox component now. This needs to change to 9 as well for enemy. We're going to work on that later. Okay, hurtbox component. Game.component. Okay, so this is relatively easy. We just do public override void ready. Area entered plus equals on area entered. So we know that the area is coming in is going to be a hitbox component, so we can bring that in. And then the nice thing about this is that now I can store information on the hitbox component about the attack that's hitting. So the way that I would typically handle this is in my hitbox component here, I would have some method called like start that takes like a hit parameters object. Public void start or burst or something, and then hit parameters. And this could either be, this would probably be a C# class that extends ref counted. So here's a little tip. I don't know, I guess I'm full of tips today, but here's a tip. So if you want to have a custom C# class that you can send through signals in Godot, if you just extend ref counted from Godot, that will not only allow Godot to marshal and unmarshal the C# object so it can be passed through the Godot signal internals, but it also becomes ref counted, meaning that Godot will free up that reference when it's no longer used, which is nice. So I would probably create a hit parameters object that extends ref counted, and then hit parameters would contain all the data about the hit. It would contain like where the attack is coming from in terms of who initiated the attack. It would contain damage information, basically any information that is or could be relevant to the attack would be contained within this hit parameters. And then the nice thing is that you can read that hit parameters when the hit is being handled by the hurtbox component. And there are situations where you want to listen for that kind of event globally, right? So if something gets hit, you may want to trigger a passive, right? Well, you can emit in here, you know, some kind of signal that says a global entity hit signal, pass along the hit parameters, and then you can now handle that in a global fashion. So, oh, an enemy was hit with fire. That means I need to spawn a fire imp at that entity's location, right? So that's kind of how I approached it when I was doing Gunforged, is like, if you get all the context related to an event that happens in a nice object, you are free to just send that throughout the entire system. And then the system can, in very modular and, encapsulated ways, handle those things as they need to be handled. So that's a way I've found of building these kinds of systems that makes it relatively easy to work with and extend. The biggest problem that you end up here doing this, though, is that you can end up in order of operations problems, right? So like, you have to be really careful about what order your signals are being emitted in, because something may be handled prior to when you want it to be. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. But anyway, that is a fantastic tip. Thanks. Yes. Subscribe for more nuggets of wisdom. Anyway, no, I'm glad you found it useful. So on area, oh, hitbox component. Why is this not working now? Does this need to be explicitly in area 2D? Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess. So we could just do if hitbox component is not, or let's do other area. So we'll just ignore these collisions. If hitbox, or if other area is not hitbox component return. So we'll just do an early return, and then that means that any code after this will have a reference to a valid hitbox component. And so the reason I'm doing all this is because I can actually start with that that system that I was actually talking about. So let's go ahead and actually implement something. So let's do a new folder here. Well, I'm just going to call it data, new file. I'm going to call this hit parameters, like I said. And so I'll just show you an example of what this would look like in practice. So namespace, game.data. So again, public partial class hit parameters extends ref counted. So now we can pass this class through the signals. And in here, we could do public float damage. And if you wanted to, you probably don't want to leave this open for public modifiability. So you could have like a hit parameter builder class or something if you wanted to, but that's a little bit too much for me. I just make sure not to modify any of the parameters after they've been created. The best practice would be if you need to modify the hit parameters, like if you need to adjust the damage or something based on what? Like stats or something. The way that I would do it is either have like a public float damage boost % or something that you can change safely that will get multiplied out into the damage, or you can create a brand new hit parameters object with everything updated in accordance with whatever stats you want to apply. So I don't know which way I'm going to take with this game. It kind of depends on which direction the game goes, but anyway, this is all random tidbits for you. Public, so here's another thing, public vector 2, like this is the hit direction or something, or maybe it's better to call it from direction. So we could store a vector 2 from direction, and then we could also do something like the problem when you're doing composition is you don't, I probably just store a node2d and call it like entity owner or something. Owner is not a great word because that means something else in Godot, but like you want to like from entity maybe. Yeah, so something like that. And then you can see in here, this hitbox component, what I can do now is I can do public hit parameters. Now what I would do here is have a public hit parameters, but make it privately settable, and then force the hit parameters to be set through something like public void burst, you know, and then require a hit parameters to be passed in here. Assign that, and then you can do your... I'm actually going to change how this burst works. What I like to do, because hitboxes are a lot of times hitboxes are just like very short-lived, like they should basically just burst and then be deleted. A sloppy way of doing that is just to await 2 physics frames and then queue free it after. Why 2? I don't know. It's a quirk about how Godot works. You can't await 1, it won't work. But the way that I'm going to do this in the future is by using a shape cast. So what I would do, maybe I'll just do that too, because I know I'm going to need that. So what I would do is I would add a shape cast 2D here. And configure it all the same way and then call force shapecast update on it. But actually, I'm not going to do that right now because it's a little bit too much. So get rid of this. Okay, so now when the player creates that, or when the base weapon, I guess, base weapon, now the question is, do I have the attack direction in here? I don't. So what I probably want to do is pass in the attack direction. Okay, so this hitbox here now, we probably want to set that, well, yeah, it doesn't matter right now. So hitbox.burst. Hitbox.burst, new hit parameters. And then in here, we can pass in all of our stuff, right? So from entity is equal to, oh, this is terrible, but owner. So a lot of this code is still very bad, but we're just trying to get something in place for now. Damage equals 1. So that's basically how it would work. And then on area entered. So now we can read that, right? So we can say gd.print hitbox component.hit parameters .damage. And I think I have a yo fam being printed in here somewhere. Yep, right there. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of this area 2D. Okay, so if I did everything correctly, what I should see is that when I smack an enemy, I should see the number 1 printed. There's also some C# wizardry I had no idea about. Every day is a school day. Yes, indeed. Pretty similar to I pass damages, amount, damage type, direction, force. Yeah. Yeah, I think the ideal situation is you just want all of the relevant data to be encapsulated within a single object that you can pass around. It's like a context object, right? And you want to do that from the beginning. Even if you only have like 2 things that you need to pass along, it's better to encapsulate those into like a data object, because inevitably as your game grows and you have more context that you need to add, you can just add it to that object and then not have to change everywhere in the code that doesn't care about the new properties, right? But if you're just like, you know, sending individual like parameters like int damage and whatnot, and you grow the context, it becomes very unwieldy. So wrap it all into a context object, pass that object around, and whoever needs the context will use the context, and whoever doesn't need it won't use it, right? So I think that's a nice way of doing it. Anyway, let's see if this works. 1, 1, 1. Perfect, and let's try the other one. Oops. I'm pretty sure this one will work too. Yep. So cool, so we got the client and the server able to hit the enemy, and the hit parameters is being passed around correctly. So that is the very basic setup of that, basic hurt box setup. So now we actually want to do stuff when that hurt box gets intercepted by this enemy. So I'm going to be able to use my delegate state machine for the enemy, I think, here. And I'm trying to think if I want to synchronize this state to all the clients. I probably will need to do that so I can trigger animations and whatnot. I just don't know how I'm going to do that. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Let's see. Because my delegate state machine is based on function references, which I can't RPC around. At least not easily. I wonder if I could. Well, let's just figure it out. Private void, private delegate state machine equals new. State machine dot add states, state normal. Private void state normal. I'm gonna need to do one thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and add these players to the group. This add to group. Okay. So in the state normal, var target is equal to this dot get nodes in group. Get tree dot get nodes in group. Player. And this is my Godot utilities library that I built. This add to group here is an extension method. All that this does is this takes the type name and adds the node to the group of that type name. So this is using the type name player as the group name. And then when I go here and I say get nodes in group player, this has two functions. So it knows what type name to look for. So I'm passing in T, which is player. It gets the type name here, and then it casts those nodes in that group to that type. So if you follow this pattern using my Godot utilities, it's like you're guaranteed that anything that's in the player type group is going to be castable to a player. And it's, it's using a symbol instead of a string. So it's like, it's really nice. I don't know. I know I wrote it, but I would say it's really nice. I started with C# and Godot about a week or so ago. I've been doing GDScript, but I hated the type system. Yeah, the type system takes a little bit of getting used to. Same for calling methods. I've learned not to have methods with multiple params. Yeah. Otherwise, just pass an object which should grow as needed. That's definitely true. Please make a Godot combat tutorial. I might. I like that nice strong types. Yes, indeed. So target, we're going to do first or default. Okay. This velocity here. So it goes to target dot direction, or no, global position dot direction to target dot global position, all else global position. Okay. Let's just do times 30. So there's our normal state. And this velocity here, we can get rid of this. Okay, state machine dot set initial state, state normal. Cool. So we've got those going on. Now we need a knockback state, private void. Let's call it stagger, I guess. State stagger. Private void, enter state stagger. So what I need here is I need to listen for that hitbox component being hit. So this is what I'm talking about. So instead of actually doing something in here, at least right now, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have a signal, public delegate void, hit event handler, and check it out. Hit parameters. Now another thing that I can do here is I can actually pass in the public hitbox component from a hitbox component in case I need that. And so when I create this hit parameters here, where am I doing that? Oh, base weapon here. from hitbox component is equal to hitbox. So I can just assign that in there now. So now I have all that context. And again, you know, that's a little bit sloppy here. If you did some kind of like, I guess you could use all these as constructor arguments to make sure that you fill all these out. But ideally, like, this is the only place where this line of code exists. Like the hitbox is the thing that's well, yeah. Anyway, you just have to be careful to fill out all these properties anywhere that you use that code. So now I have this hurtbox component, which takes that hit parameters there. So I'm going to do this: emit signal, signal name dot hit, and then pass along the hitbox component dot hit parameters. So our hurtbox component has one responsibility right now, and the responsibility is to intercept hits from hitbox components and then relay those hit parameters. So then in our test enemy here, what I can do is grab a reference to the hurtbox component, and then I can connect to that signal. Hurtbox component dot hit plus equals on hurtbox hit. Then in here, private void on hurtbox hit. This takes in hit parameters. And in here, what I can do is I can say private vector2 stagger direction. Stagger direction is equal to hit parameters dot from direction, but this needs to be negated. Or no. Does it need to be negated? No, it's fine. So there's our stagger direction. So when we enter the state stagger, what we'll do is we'll say velocity is equal to, oh, we need to do this too. State machine dot change state stagger. So when we enter that state stagger, we're going to say velocity is equal to stagger direction times, I don't know, we'll say 100. And then in this state stagger, we're going to say velocity is equal to velocity.lerp. We're going to lerp to vector2.0, 1f minus math xp. Let's just do something like -20 times float, get process delta time. So again, this is just a frame rate independent lerp. Lerp by itself, you can't just use delta with lerp because it's frame rate dependent still by the nature of how lerp works, because you're going a percentage of the way to the target every frame. So it's not a linear, it says linear interpolate, but that's not how it works in practice. So you need to do some fancy math to make sure that whether you're running at 30 FPS or 200 FPS, the output of the lerp after a certain amount of time is equivalent. So that's what this does. And then we'll just check if velocity.length is less than 30, just an arbitrary cutoff number. We're going to change that state machine back to state normal. And the beauty about this is that it should be able to enter the state stagger multiple times. So you should be able to stagger lock this enemy, theoretically speaking. So enter state stagger. So the last thing I need to do is add that state up here. So state stagger, enter state stagger, and we're gonna get rid of this. Cool. So the problem here is that this is not gonna be replicated to the client, but we should be able to see it on the server. Can it be done in GDScript too? Can what be done? Exactly. I think I missed the context of what you were talking about. Oh, that's not working. Oh, the reason it's not working is because I forgot to call state machine.update in my process method. Oops. Oops. Post. Okay, so you can see the enemies following me. I can smack them. Oh, do I need to negate it? Wait a minute. Something's not right here. Why is he going the wrong way? That group thing. Oh, I don't think so. I don't think you can approach it the same way in C#. I think your best bet for if you're doing a GD script is just to have like a constant somewhere for the string name for the player. You don't want to use, it's working. You definitely don't want to use magic strings for your group names, especially if they appear in more than one place. Okay, so this is kind of working. I think I just need to bump this up. And then we're going to try to get it to work with the client now. Because since that's a state machine, well, I guess I don't need to do that actually. Yeah, I gotta. So there needs to be a distinction between. So that's working fine. So I actually don't want to synchronize the state. The only reason I want to synchronize the state to the client is for visual purposes, which I think is still valid. So let me do this. Let's create an animation. Now the question is, there's a couple of ways to do the visual state. I could just RPC a call that says play this animation, but I still want to be able to use the state machine. And the reason I want to be able to do that is so that I can do a bunch of things visually when a state changes, instead of having to individually call like RPC methods. I might as well just RPC the state, but the problem is that I have to make sure not to do I have to make sure not to do any gameplay related updates. So basically what I would do in this state normal is I would say in the state normal here, I would say if multiplayer manager.isServer. Now, if I'm going to be building a multiplayer game, I think I might borrow the rewindable state machine and have like display enter states instead. Here's what I might do. Check this out. This is going to be cool. Let's create a new folder. Util. I'm going to create a server client state machine. Or maybe I'll call it like a multiplayer state machine. I'll go even further. Multiplayer delegate state machine. And essentially what I'm going to do in here, game.util, public class, multiplayer delegate state machine, private delegate state machine. Let's call it logic state machine equals new, private delegate state machine, visual state machine equals new, public void add states, I'm just thinking real quick. Hold on a second. How do I want this to work? I mean, this would be like delegate state machine dot state. Is there a better way that I can use this? Oops. Oh, it doesn't like that. Okay, never mind then. So we got the normal state. Enter. Now this is the problem where I have like a lot of arguments that I probably don't want. I wonder if I should... probably create a class for this, public class. I don't know what to call it. I'll call it states. So delegate state machine. So there's our normal state. Enter and then leave. And then copy this. And we're just going to call this visual normal, visual enter, visual leave. Get these states in here. States, states. Okay. Logic state machine dot add states, states dot normal, states dot enter, states dot leave. Okay, and then visual state machine dot add states, states dot visual normal, states dot visual enter, states dot visual leave. Okay, and then public void update if multiplayer manager is server logic state machine dot update, and then we're going to call visual state machine dot update regardless. So basically all I did was I created a class here where I can configure visual and logical state machines, and then I can do that just sort of transparently on this enemy class and just write it very straightforwardly, and then the internals of this logic are going to determine whether it needs to run the logic state machine or the visual state machine. Now, I'm wondering if this is going to complicate things with respect to RPC calls, but I'm going to go ahead in this direction before I worry about that. So in here now, this will become a multiplayer state machine, multiplayer delegate state machine. So normal is equals to state normal. And we might as well do like a visual state normal. I call it state visual normal actually. Okay. Cool. And then we'll do the same thing for the stagger. Okay, and then visual enter. I think unfortunately the visual normal, oh shoot. I should change my implementation. Right now the delegate state machine does not support a null normal state, I don't think. Does it support a null normal state? Maybe it does. It actually does. Okay, never mind. So I can just do a visual enter equals enter visual state stagger. Oh, I need to set initial state. Oh, this is going to be difficult. I think I did this wrong, actually. Did I do this wrong? Yeah, right now I'm gonna have to manually, I'll have to make this class a little bit more sophisticated. The idea is that basically the visual states would happen in response to logical state changes. But right now I have to sort of manage them both, which, what do you think? I think it should be fine. So it's not that I did this wrong, it's just that it's not totally there yet. But anyway. We'll just do like initial state and then initial visual state. Logical state machine dot set initial state, visual state machine dot set initial state. So basically the idea here is that the visual state machine state is going to be the only thing that needs to be synchronized to the client so that it can play the various visuals that need to happen. And then the logical state can exist purely on the server. But I think what I want to do is I want this, since the server is authoritative, any changes in the logical state machine need to be automatically reflected in the visual state machine. So that means that there needs to be a more explicit pairing between these things, which means that I actually need to probably just duplicate this change state functionality. Actually, I think I am going to need to do that. So I'm almost wondering if I should just go into my Godot utilities and create support for like visual states for this. Or create like almost a duplicate of the class. I might do that. I'm not going to do that right now, but I think that's probably what I'm going to need to do. Anyway. Let's not worry about that just yet. I still have to figure out how I'm going to like RPC things and everything. So I'm just going to do this very basically for now. Very basic. So to state delegate, to visual state delegate. Okay, and then in here, cool. So ideally, I wouldn't need to do this, right? Ideally, I'd just be able to say, go to state normal, and it can automatically detect that it needs to do the visual normal. But, yeah, and this needs, yeah. So there's some problems here, but I just want to see if this general outline is going to work. And if it is, then I will continue forward. But for now, we just need these stub methods in here so that it will work. I think visual needs to come first. Okay. Anyway, I'm just going to create a tween here. Tween property, this, scale, variant final value is 1, or vector 2.1, I mean. Duration of 0.2 or 0.3, dot from, vector 2.0. Dot set ease type out, dot set transition type dot back. Okay. Well, let's see if it works. At least on the server, I should see the enemy bounce a bit when I smack him. How's the multiplayer code going? It's going all right. Still some challenges to overcome here, but we'll see how this works. So let's see. Oh, it's not working. Null reference exception. Okay, I'm gonna just do visual normal. Can I do this? I can, look at that. Empty visual normal state, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do a more thorough implementation here, but this should at least give me a good idea of whether this approach is gonna work or not. Okay, so I'm not seeing any bouncing because there's errors here. Object reference not set to instance of object. Oh. I think all I need to do here is just... Wait a minute. Oh, state visual normal. Okay, that should fix it. Yeah, this is a little bit unwieldy. I'm gonna fix that. I am gonna fix that. Host, join. Okay, there's still an error happening. All right, why is this happening? Oh, wait. Oh, no, I was... That's what I needed to do. Okay. That's what I needed to do. Okay, so you can see that the enemy is bouncing now. When I hit him, on the server side at least. So now if I join this, I'm not going to see that because... Oh wait, I am seeing it. Oh right, because the state machine is updating. Oh. And it's synchronizing the global transform. So that's not ideal. I think I only want to synchronize the global position, so let me do that real quick. So the only reason that the bounce is happening is because the state synchronizer is synchronizing the global transform. I'm just going to synchronize the global position instead. And we shouldn't see any sort of animation there now. So you can see on the server side, which is the top left window, it's working. But the reason it's not working on the client is because we're not synchronizing that visual state. So that's what I need to do. Also, his movement is very choppy because he's not being interpolated. Because the tick interpolator doesn't work for some reason. But anyway, Vishal, welcome. Welcome back. So for the final part of the stream, let's see if I can synchronize this. So experimenting with enemy. So before I do, yeah. Well, yeah, I want to see if I can synchronize the state change here. So I don't know how I'm going to do this. Because essentially what I need to do is I need to pass a state name. So I need to convert the... I need to use the state function. Probably use the name of the function as what needs to be changed. Or what needs to be passed along in the RPC. And then basically work from that name. So I could use reflection. I'm not going to use reflection though. I actually think I probably need to build more internals into the delegate state machine. So this might actually be too much work for now. Are you also developing this off stream? Yes, I am, yeah. Yes, I am. Okay, well, I'm actually not going to get into this RPC because I don't want to do that before I've got this multiplayer delegate state machine built out a little bit nicer. And I need to build in a bunch of functionality to... I need to build a bunch of functionality into couple these states a little bit better. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to call the stream there, I think, and get some lunch and whatnot. And then I'm going to continue working on this afternoon. So yeah, whoops. So anyway, hello Rin, welcome back. Sorry, I'm just about to end the stream, but great to see you here. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for being here. That'll be the end of the stream for today. If you want to support my work, you can purchase Gunforged on the Steam page. Let's take a look at it real quick. Let's take a look at Gunforged together. Okay, so Gunforged currently has 39 reviews, 94% positive. And I guess it's still on sale. It's ending in an hour. So go ahead and grab that if you're interested. It'll be a great way of supporting me. And yeah, very much appreciate the support. You can also purchase one of my Udemy courses. They're linked below if you're interested in learning how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. So thank you all for being here. Thanks again for chatting, everyone. And I'll hope I see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern for tomorrow's stream. All right, bye-bye.